What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Masi Nabago. Apologies if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. The youngest IFBB pro from Poland, who by the way made his open debut this year, and that was in Prague. So Prague Pro this year was so highly rated. In terms of the storylines going into this show, with Samson Dauda trying to redeem himself, the 212 Olympia champion Keon Pearson making his men's open debut, Michael Krizo coming back, and finally sharing the stage with some of the best in the game. And that's why some of these incredible talents, especially the upcoming new talent, that got overlooked, and the media, they did not give them any coverage at all. So here we have a guy who goes by the name of Masi, just 23 years old, and that right there I must say is a spectacular physique for that age. So the guy earned his pro card a couple of years back, and this guy initially made his debut in a smaller division in Classic. And thankfully that did not work out for him. Because just imagine, had he placed well in Classic Physique division, he would have been stuck in a smaller class where he just did not belong, where the only thing this guy would have done was restrict his growth and not let his body grow. So he was close to 260 pounds on the stage in Prague. And if we take a look a bit more at that physique from his Prague Pro attendance, the guy had a lot of quality muscle, a lot of polish for just 23 years old. So the first thing that immediately gets noticed, there are those incredible bicep peaks. The legs from the front, they obviously need more outer quad sweep, and that is something which is gonna come in due time. Because when we look at his physique from a couple of years back, when he won his pro card, and compare that to the one that he presented in 2025 at this year's Prague Pro, there are some massive improvements in there. The upper back looks incredibly lean and so detailed. The side chest right there, that's also gonna be a very good shot for him. And just imagine if this guy, he takes a bit more time, he doesn't rush the process, how far he can go and how high he can take his physique in, let's say, another 3 years time. And I have got to say, for some guys, it's just a matter of staying healthy and injury free. And Masi, that is definitely one of them. So what do you guys think of his potential considering the fact that he's only 23 years old? Let me know in the comments down below. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So some fans out there are calling out Shaun for doing China Pro and kind of making this look like that he's stealing the qualification from other guys. Well, this right here is a perfect example of how there will always be some people on social media who are gonna have a negative opinion no matter what. They are always gonna have a bad take. And Shaun here gave a very befitting response. And so glad to see that majority of the bodybuilding fans out there, they agree with Shaun. And this new wave that we saw started with Samson Dauda as the reigning Olympia champion, him entering the Arnold Ohio, and then Derek Lunsford doing the Pittsburgh Pro after winning the Arnold, which everyone thought was a very big risk. So this kind of attitude that has received a lot of praise by the fans, by the general bodybuilding community. And I have to tell you guys, just a few years back, the fans, all these old school guys, they were complaining that the top guys of this era, they do not compete very often. And they were saying that they have to travel around the world, compete and promote the sport. And just when a guy like Shaun, one of the biggest names in bodybuilding, he's trying to do exactly that, what the fans have been asking, he's still being criticized. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So would you rather see a top Olympia competitor compete once per year or multiple times? I'm sure the answer, that would be the latter. It's so good to see these guys compete again and again. So huge respect for Shaun for jumping into this show. Now the question on whether it's unfair to the other athletes who are fighting for their Olympia spot, and they literally stand no chance against a competitor like him. Well, this is how it has always been. Even the 90s guys, they also used to do that. The entire European tour, the entire post-Olympia tour. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So last year the peak of season weight for Tonio that was around 260 pounds. And this year the goal is to push forward towards 270 by making sure he stays relatively lean and in a very decent body composition. And the guy has those kind of genetics that he can do exactly that. So there wasn't a single point during his entire off-season last year when he went out of shape. And based on the recent updates that he has posted, you can see that he's already making very good progress in that regard. So if Tonio is able to push to that kind of body weight, that will be very mind-blowing. So this is a former 212 Olympian that we are talking about here, who has now become a very successful open bodybuilder, who by the way is taking his due time to grow into the open and not rush the process. And with this off-season also comes the discussion on what kind of size is enough on a guy like Tonio and would he risk a bit of his aesthetics in chasing the size. Well, at this point we do not know until we see him go through a peak of season and then die down. We do however know that in order for him to fight for the first Olympia call-out, he definitely needs more size. But at the same time he has to make sure that all his lines, all his aesthetics, they stay intact. So he needs more thickness and density in areas like the chest and the hamstrings. And the man is getting ready to have the biggest off-season of his pro career so far, and winning Mexico Pro, which was scheduled just 1 week after the Olympia, that has put him in an ideal case scenario for 2026. So one of the biggest rising stars in classic physique division, Pitor, he's making sure that he ends this season on a very high note, getting the 3rd pro win of his career and this year, and also securing an early Olympia spot for 2026. So he's gonna be competing this weekend at Austin Pro, and with the new IFBB rules for securing your Olympia spot for next year, a 2nd pro win, that will guarantee him the Olympia spot for 2026. So the aesthetics and the muscularity on this guy, they are simply out of this world. And it isn't just one standout body part on Pitor Wojciechowicz. His chest is probably one of the best in the entire classic physique division, arguably one of the best chest development in the pro bodybuilding scene. The same thing can be said about his shoulders too, which kind of look like boulders. He has that incredible lower half, crazy insertions, insane outer quad sweep, and all that, combined with a very tiny waistline, which is probably the most important aspect in classic physique category. That ratio is so cartoonish, and that makes him as classic as they come. And if a guy places 13th at his Olympia debut in such a deep lineup, I have got to say sky is the limit for him in the upcoming years. And you guys will be more amazed to see that just 2 years back, he sustained an injury which damaged his L4 and L5 discs, where he thought his career is over. And to come back from that, and your pro card, and then make such a big mark on that Olympia stage, it has been such an awesome journey for him, a story of resilience. So hats off to him, and he will most probably be top 10 at the Olympia next year for sure, maybe even higher than that.